Hariom, Dr. Brahmra, are you able to do the session today, or shall I share? Dr. Brahmra, are you there? Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नवं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्. Am I audible? Well, uh, Arjun Uvacha, I shall start from here. अर्जुन उवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्थस्य केशव स्थितिदिः किं प्रभाषेत किमासीत् व्रजेत किम् श्रीभगवान् उवाच प्रजाहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थ मनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टस्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमनः सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधस्थितिर्मुनिरुच्यते. Dr. Brahmra, are you there? Actually, I'm not able to see or don't know whether I'm audible or not.
Yes, you're audible. There was a
Yes,
problem with
you are.
my Zoom. I could not unmute immediately to answer your question. You
Okay.
can. I've shifted to the computer now. There's a problem with my mobile.
Okay.
You're audible. You can please go ahead. Can
So,
you
how should I proceed? Like you said, we will revise from the beginning. Shri Bhagwan Vacha
not
when he.
thing? It was the
Okay.
last paragraph that we were reading. Can you expand your page because you're
Okay. Fine. It is now. I am on the mobile actually. This is
this is
the
why.
yeah. This is
Okay, that's fine.
maximum up to which.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
So
We were reading
from
the last bit of um,
yeah.
the 69th
Please.
verse.
Yeah. The 69 verse we were on,
Before
but you said
before
that we
the
will.
Apurya Manamajala Pratisham,
Yeah.
that last
You,
paragraph, Bhagwan was talking about how he has described the
how you should
Lakshana
not
of
emulate.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
Sthita
Yeah.
Prajna, right?
Yeah.
That was already described in the previous verses. So he said we'll just recollect those verses
Okay.
as to what are those that we can emulate his lakshanas, not his actions, but his the qualities can be his mind
Yeah.
control.
Yeah. This was the last. Emulate the values of a wise person.
Hmm.
To emulate a wise person, therefore, is dangerous. Krishna mentioned the mind, values, control, and mastery of a wise person because these alone are to be emulated. So,
Can you go up a little bit, the last paragraph? No.
yeah,
Up in the sense, go down. Up,
down. Okay.
not up.
This is the last paragraph.
So, out of um,
Shall I read this paragraph and continue with the next verse, or shall we uh, discuss the Sthita
yeah, if you can
Pragya?
just before this paragraph, there
Okay.
was somewhere Krishna had mentioned.
So I read this whole this
Okay,
topic, no?
yes,
Emulate the values of a wise person. This
yeah.
was the this is
We
the last
chanted
one.
all we chanted all shlokas before. That
No, no,
Smriti Pradas.
I
Okay. Yesterday,
no, I
Brahmaraji was about to say, no, that please, if you can.
yeah, I will chant. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmanyevatmana tushtas sthita pragyastha dochyate दुःखेष्वनुद्विग्नमना सुखेषु विगतस्पृहः वीतरागभयक्रोधस्थितिर्मुनिरुच्यते यः सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहस्तत्तत्प्राप्ये शुभाशुभं नाभिनन्दति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसावर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते यततोऽपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत् मत्परः वशे हि यस्य इन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते सङ्गात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु बुद्धिपर्यवतिष्ठते नास्ति बुद्धिर्युक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभाव्यतः शान्तिर् अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम् इन्द्रियाणां हि चरतां यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञां वायुर्नावमिवाम्भसि. This is 67 now, last. We have done till 69, sorry. तस्य तस् तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यै जागृति संयमी यस्यै जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः. 69 we have done. Now today this 70 verse. आपूर्यमाणामचलप्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमापा प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. So evaluate the values of a wise person. Any description of a person of a steady wisdom, sthita prajna, is useless, really speaking. We can only talk about the wisdom, prajna, that makes a person wise. Unless you have this wisdom yourself, you cannot understand what a wise person is. A Mahatma knows a Mahatma, whereas one who is not a Mahatma cannot appreciate a Mahatma. Therefore, any description other than an unfoldment of the wisdom that makes such a wise person is really meaningless. But still, Arjuna wants a description. Sorry. He also wanted to know how a wise person reacts to the world. In his response, Krishna told Arjuna certain things, including the fact that one cannot emulate a wise person except insofar as values are concerned. The wise person may not perform Vedic rituals. For such a person, these karmas are no longer necessary because the previous performance of the scriptural injunctions has found its fulfillment in wisdom. Whether the person has taken sannyasa or not, whether a person has taken sannyasa or not, he or she is a sarvakarma sannyasi. The doership is already negated in the person. There is no real doer. And when there is no real doer, there is no real karma. In this way, the wise person is not bound by duty of any kind. This is also important. This last uh, this I'll read it again. The wise person may not perform Vedic rituals. For such a person, these karmas are no longer necessary because the previous performance of the scriptural injunctions has found its fulfillment in wisdom. Whether the person has taken sannyasa or not, he or she is a sarvkarma sannyasi. The doership is already negated in the person. There is no real doer. And when there is no real doer, there is no real karma. In this way, the wise person is not bound by duty of any kind. To emulate a wise person, therefore, is dangerous. Krishna mentioned the mind, values, control, and mastery of a wise person because these alone are to be emulated. In this way, Krishna confirmed for Arjuna that the characteristics of a wise person, as demonstrated in his or her interactions in day to day life, can become the means, the sadhana for a seeker. Finally, Krishna said that a wise person is as different from an ajnani as day is from night, meaning that there is no way of unfolding what a wise person is. What is night for all the people is day for the wise, and what is day for them is night to the wise. Arjuna was found to be flabbergasted by this. He was definitely not going to be any wiser for having heard this particular verse. Therefore, out of sympathy and compassion, Krishna followed his night and day example with another example, an illustration that Arjuna could hold on to, and one that would enable him to appreciate in a way what a wise person is. So now, in this verse, they have uh, they have negated that he was not uh, the sthita prajna. He is not the doer, and when he is not the real doer, then there is no real karma also. The karma And then he's like, no punya and papa will incur. He's free from both. The, and we read what
And
was
it is
it?
not necessary for him to do the that Vedic
Scriptural,
karmas
yeah,
also. Very
scriptural
true.
injunctions, the Vedic rituals, because he has already found his fulfillment in the self knowledge, the wisdom which has dawned over him. So for him, everything is like as if it is futile. It is he's crossed all the Vedic rituals and everything. He's now in the word sthita prajna itself, no, उसी में स्थित हो गया वो, that knowledge. He's in that knowledge. And we the first word verse which Bhagwan was saying, Bhagwan Uvacha, there was a definition. I'm just looking in the text. So, Sthita Prajna, uh, there was one complete definition. Yeah, this one. Sthita Prajna, Krishna said, is one who, being awake to the fact of the Atma, being happy for no other reason, gives up all desires that arise in his or her mind. And after the desires are dropped, he is like now he doesn't require any Vedic rituals to be done, and then he is uh, he's free from that do worship. And when he's free from that do worship, then there is no real karma. So he's not bound by any duty of any kind now. Yes, you, you all can also share your, we can revise or we can, this, the next example would be again the illustration of what of night and day example, and with another example, Krishna would explain. It was very systematic explanation done by Krishna, in which he starts with the raga dvesha and slowly all uh, withdrawing from senses, then uh, taking all like these. And I think that the headings also, the headings which are there, uh, Sthita Prajna, that to be happy, if you can be happy, if you give up desires, already that example of a sugar crystal was given, how it is the sugar crystal is full in itself, so it doesn't require any other further sweetening. So similarly, the sthita prajna is tushta, he is in the tushta bhav, he is not dependent upon any other object or situation to be happy. He's full in himself, and therefore no desires are there. And desires which are mentioned in this Vedic is always the talked of are always of the binding nature. So shall I proceed further? If the more we read, the more I think we should again go back and revise. This feeling is always there that we again go back and revise. Yeah. Brahmraji, shall I continue next or shall we go back and
No, please
revise?
continue.
Continue, okay. आपूर्यमाणामचलप्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमापा प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी अपूर्यमाण अपूर्यमाणं brimful achala pratishtam without any motion well grounded samudram into this ocean apa waters yadvat just as pravishanti enter tadvat so too sarve all kama objects yam the one into whom pravishanti enter sa he shantim peace apnoti gains kama kami the desirer of objects na not अपूर्यमाणम अचल प्रतिष्ठम समुद्र आपः यद्वत् प्रविशन्ति तद्वत् सर्वे कामः यम प्रविशन्ति सह आपनो शांतिम आपनोति काम कामी न just as water flows into the ocean that is brimful and still, so too the wise person into whom all objects enter gains peace, remains unchanged, whereas the desirer of objects does not gain peace. Just as water flows into the ocean that is brimful and still, so too the wise person into whom all objects enter gains peace, remains unchanged, whereas the desirer of objects does not gain peace. There are two adjectives describing the ocean in this verse. The first one, Apuryamanam, refers to the ocean being totally filled with water. It requires no more water to be full because it is already filled to the brim. The second adjective, Achala Pratishtam, describes the ocean as not moving from place to place in same way that a river does. For example, thus the ocean is not only full but being without motion, it is also well grounded. The verse also gives some information about the ocean. While a pond depends upon a source of water for its existence, the ocean does not depend upon any other source of water for its fullness. It does not depend upon the rain for its oceanness, unlike the rain clouds that depend upon the evaporation of the ocean water for their cloudness. Nor does the ocean depend upon any entry of water. It does not become an ocean because ocean, it does not become an ocean because water enters into it. Thus, to be brimful, it depends on no other factor, no other source of water. The glory of ocean then is within itself alone. So the ocean is mentioned here as Sthita Prajna, person who doesn't need anything. Water enters the ocean from all sides in the form of rain and rivers, but does the entry of these various forms of water bring about any change in the fullness of the ocean? If it does, then we can say that the ocean is not full, that it depends upon other sources for its oceanness. And if no change is brought about by the water entering into it, then the ocean is full by itself, and the non entry of water will make no difference in its fullness. By itself, then, the ocean is full of water because it does not depend upon any source of water for its fullness, neither the non entry nor the entry of water makes any difference to it. The ocean is not after the entry of water, nor is it afraid of water entering into it. It has no fear of becoming flooded, and thereby losing its name, ocean. Nor, in order to be ocean, does it covet water. A pond, on the other hand, does depend upon rain or some other water to be a pond. If a pond is dependent upon a particular spring underneath it, for instance, all that is required for it not to be a pond is for someone to put bore wells all around. The water table will go down, the spring will go dry, and there will be no water in the pond. A pond can also cease to be a pond if too much water enters into it. If its banks are broken, there will be water everywhere. No one will know where the pond is unless they are wading in the water and suddenly step into it. Therefore, a pond will no longer be called a pond if there is too much water entering into it or if no water enters into it at all. Such changes are possible for a pond, whereas an ocean undergoes no change whatsoever, regardless of whether water enters or does not enter. Very nice description. Shall I repeat it once again, or you want to have Manana on this? They have described both the Sthita Prajna and the unwise person, the pond and ocean uh, example. And ocean is, again, two adjectives are used for describing ocean. Apurnemanam, referring to ocean being totally filled with water. And the second is Achala Pratishtam, it describing that ocean is not moving from place to place in as a river does. So here, how we can relate to Sthita Prajna is that he's already has fullness in him. He doesn't require any, he has no desire. He has desires, but he doesn't go after them because he is full in himself. So he's apurnemanam. And secondly, achala pratishtam, he will not go from, like, he'll not do things like different rituals he will be doing, that if I do this, then I'll seek some happiness or I'll attain something. So he is not moving from one objective to another. He has only one goal, that of the self, knowing the self. Achala pratishtam. Whereas a pond, example of pond was that the pond depends on some other source of water for its existence. Either it would be filled with rain or with the ocean water or river, and it needs others. It is dependent on others. Like it is the unwise person is dependent on various you can say objects or situations or goals. They have different goals to seek that happiness, and that uh, seeking happiness from different sources and still not contented. It might go dry, it might be like overfull uh, pond. It is like sometimes it can go dry, there's no water, sometimes it is overfull, then you cannot differentiate this overfullness. If we can discuss like how a unwise person, that when there is flood, and then so how would we relate it to the unwise person, like situations we can describe. Overfull, like when it is overfull, so how it will be related to the unwise person, who is, what situation would be he in, that he feels that, or he has no differentiation or discrimination, and that what to do. I could not follow it totally. I read this paragraph. A pond, on the other hand, does not depend upon rain or some other water to be a pond. If a pond is sorry, if a pond is dependent upon a particular spring underneath it, for instance, all that is required for it not to be a pond is for someone to put bore wells all around. The water table will go down, the spring will go dry, and there will be no water in the pond. A pond can also cease to be a pond if too much water enters into it. If its banks are broken, there will be water everywhere. No one will know where the pond is unless they are wading in the water and suddenly step into it. Therefore, a pond will no longer be called a pond if there is too much water entering into it, or if no water enters into it at all. Such changes are possible for a pond, whereas an ocean undergoes no change whatsoever, regardless of whether water enters or does not enter. Okay, we'll read further. I think it would be clear. The
Can
wise
you read
person.
that again, please?
Yeah, actually, I was relating to it. A pond, this sentence. If a pond is depend, I'll read from the beginning. Okay. A pond, on the other hand, does not depend upon rain or some other water to be a pond. If a pond is dependent upon a particular spring underneath it, for instance, all that is required for it not to be a pond is for someone to put bore wells all around. The water table will go down, the spring will go dry, and there will be no water in the pond. A pond can also cease to be a pond if too much water enters into it. If its banks are broken, there will be water everywhere. No one will know where the pond is unless they are wading in the water and suddenly step into it. Therefore, a pond will no longer be called a pond if there is too much water entering into it, or if no water enters into it at all. Such changes are possible for a pond, whereas an ocean undergoes no change whatsoever, regardless of whether water enters or does not enter. So, different
Okay, that
situation.
comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, I was relating for like humans, how it is related, different situation of pond. So
That Sthita Prajna means wise and unwise.
yeah, wise and unwise I was comparing. So unwise person is a
Basically, the
pond.
Apuryamanam that sea is compared to the Sthita Prajna. If it comes or not
Yeah,
comes, he doesn't depends upon the any other external things. For
yeah,
pond,
that
if his
is
borewell
clear.
is
But the
gone, the ceases the its existence.
we'll read further. I think it will be clear. I think the wise person, just as the fullness of the ocean is not affected by the entry or non-entry of water, so too the wise person's peace of mind is not affected by objects that enter the mind. These objects enter into such a person just as water enters the ocean. But he or she is not affected by them because, like the ocean, the wise person is full, for no other reason than fullness being his or her own nature. Everyone has this sense of fullness, if only for the time being when something desirable happens. But eventually the person find himself or herself not full. A wise person, on the other hand, does not depend on anything for his or her fullness because the self is already full, like the ocean. The self is Ananda, it has no limit. Thus, recognition of the self is the very reason for the person's being full. I am is fullness. I am fullness. If I am fullness, then the meaning of the word I is not found in a limited factor like the body, mind, or senses. Therefore, the I should be understood as it is, and it happens to be Ananda. The wise person is one who is happy without depending upon any object or situation. Like the ocean, he or she is full by his or her own glory, by his or her own nature. The fullness of a wise person, the ananda of the person, is not going to increase because of the entry of some desirable objects. And if such desirable objects do enter, the wise person does not lose anything. In either case, no change is brought about in the person. He or she remains unchanged. If desirable objects enter into the head of a person who is not full, they create havoc in the person because they have to be gained, experienced, or owned, and there may be no way of doing so. Therefore, the person smarts, sweats, frets, and fumes. When a person look upon himself or herself as one who is lacking, desires only cause problems. And if such a person is told to give up all desires, he or she cannot do it. Unless one is full, desires cannot be given up. They go away only when the person is full. Even if desires do enter the head of a person, they do not create any problems because whether whether the desires are fulfilled or not, it is all the same to the person.
Can't hear. No audio.
No, no, the paragraph finished. I think this the topic, the wise person. No, the heading. I stopped there. So shall I read once more, or this is also very profound? The wise person, or shall I continue further? I'll read once more. The wise person, just as the fullness of ocean is not affected by the entry or non-entry of water, so too the wise person's peace of mind is not affected by objects that enter the mind. These objects enter into such a person just as water enters the ocean. But he or she is not affected by them because, like the ocean, the wise person is full for no other reason than fullness being his or her own nature. Everyone has this sense of fullness, if only for the time being, when something desirable happens. But eventually, the person finds himself or herself not full. This is for the unwise person whose like one desire is fulfilled, then he's temporarily he feels a sense of fullness is there. But when some he other desire erupts, then again he find himself incomplete, and he is again for seeking that to the desire to be fulfilled, he will seek, he'll go after him for gaining that fullness or happiness. Whereas everyone has this sense of fullness, if only for the time being, when something desirable happens. But eventually, the person find himself or herself not full. A wise person, on the other hand, does not depend on anything for his or her fullness because the self is already full like the ocean. The self is Ananda, it has no limit. Thus, recognition of the self is the very reason for the person's being full. I am is fullness. I am fullness. If I am fullness, then the meaning of the word I is not found in a limited factor like the body, mind, or senses. So the fullness which a sthita prajna person has, uh, or a sthita prajna has, he is recognizing the true self, that I, and that I is not related to that body, mind, or senses. It is related again that he has the differentiation between the Atma and Anatma. And that I, which that I is that with which you identify yourself with. And it is not, uh, we are not identifying ourselves with the help of our raga dveshas or our that tark vitark, like giving some the intellect also, the mind also, it gives you that what it's always in that notion of this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. Mind uh, mind is always it is always, that it is in that mode that it is discriminating in finding different things. There it is as if labeling things, whereas that true I is away from all these all the uh, all the thoughts, all the raga dvesha, all the uh, impressions of the past or this life. It is away from all of this. That true I, that I, and that that I is, when he finds that I am, that fullness he has. So that self is Ananda. That I is related to that Ananda. Therefore, the I should be understood as it is, and it happens to be Ananda. The wise person is one who is happy without depending upon any object or situation, like the ocean. He or she is full by his or her own glory, by his or her own nature. Very beautiful line. Like the ocean, he or she is full by his or her own glory, by his or her own nature. The fullness of a wise person, the ananda of the person, is not going to increase because of the entry of some desirable objects. And if such desirable objects do not enter, the wise person does not lose anything. In either case, no change is brought about in the person. He or she remains unchanged. If desirable objects enter into the head of a person who is not full, they create havoc in the person because they have to be gained, experienced, or owned, and there may be no way of doing so. So, this is of the unwise person. Therefore, the person smart sweats, frets, and fumes. When a person looks upon himself or herself as one who is lacking, desires only cause problems. And if such a person is told to give up all desires, he or she cannot do it. Unless one is full, desires cannot be given up. They go away only when the person is full. Even if desires do enter the head of a wise person, they do not create any problem because whether the desires are fulfilled or not, it is all the same to the person. The analogy of ocean and pond, same thing is described, that fullness is there and he is not lacking. He doesn't feel as if he's lacking something. He has that fullness and he's associating with the real self, that real I. The demise of one's emotional yo-yo. The word kama in this verse is taken to mean objects. Kamyate iti kama. They are desired and therefore called kamas. If a person does not know that he or she is Ananda, the person is elated when desirable objects enter and dejected when undesirable objects enter. Whereas for the wise person, there is no difference. He or she is Shanti, alone, meaning that there is no change in the persons whatsoever. The emotional yo yo is no longer there for him or her. There may be a ripple of laughter or even roaring laughter sometimes, just as the ocean seems to be very ecstatic aesthetic at certain times and simply smiling at other times. There can be a smile, a laugh, or tranquility. For the ocean, the small waves are its smiles, and the huge breakers are its roaring laughter. If it is not roaring with laughter or smiling, is the ocean gone? No, it is tranquil in its fullness. Therefore, it is the fullness that is laughing, the fullness already being there. It can be a laughing fullness, a smiling fullness, or a tranquil fullness. The other person mentioned in this verse, the Kami, is one who has desires This is not to say that he or she has desire for desires. No one wants to have a desire for desires, but this person definitely has desires for desirable objects. Into this person's mind also sense objects enter, the world enter. When the desirable enters, there is elation, and when the undesirable enters, there is depression. In this way, emotions of the person go up and down like a yo-yo. If a wise person can be likened to an ocean, the otherwise can certainly be likened to a miserable pond that we just saw in the example. When the rain comes, there will be water, provided there is not too much water or too little, the pond will remain. But if it is flooded or all its water dries up, the pond is gone. Similarly, for one who has binding desires, the entry and non entry of desirable and undesirable objects bring about changes, which is not the case for the wise person. This verse then gave Arjuna some hope. The previous verse was a real description of a wise person in the sense that it takes wisdom for you to be wise, and therefore you had better gain this wisdom. This was then followed by the illustration in the present verse, which likened the wise person to an ocean. Let all the desirable and undesirable objects enter like so much water into the ocean. The wise person remains full and the Kamakami does not. Krishna was telling Arjuna here that the one who has binding desires will always have problems, and that by this illustration Arjuna would know what a wise man is like. Having said this, Krishna then summed up the section on the Sthita Prajna as well as the entire chapter in the next two verses. So again, the Kamakami and the Sthita Prajna, they were described in this heading, the demise of one's emotional yo-yo. The Sthita Prajna is already has that fullness, that ananda, and he has no like the that emotional yo-yo is not happening. Those ocean there it is some descriptions of are given of the ocean that there's a ripple, then it is roaring, but it is related to that ripple is of laughter, and that again it can be in the form of ripple, or it can be in the form of a roaring laughter, but uh, all are the same: the smile, the laugh, and the tranquility. It is for a ocean, uh, everything is happening, but it is there is no disturbance anywhere, because that fullness fullness of ocean is maintained, similar to the Sthita Prajna who is living his life. He's living his life with that fullness, that ananda, and he is things are happening in his life. He may be enjoying, and he may be experiencing, but his state of mind is always calm and sthir, like he's not affected. That emotional yo-yo is not happening. whereas the Kamakami, he has, because he has desires, he wants desires to possess something, or he doesn't want something in his life, he wants to avoid them. Then that raga dvesha thing is happening, that once when he receives something good, or he is in a good situation, he is feeling very elated, happy. Whereas when something bad is happening, or he's not able to do achieve something, that malice which is occurring, he is he's again feeling low. So that emotional yo-yo is happening in his life. uh, Whereas the Sthita Prajna, he has that tranquility is maintained. Example of a pond was again repeated, like pond too much of water when it heavily rains, then it is also you cannot discern it, and when its existence is gone, and when it dries up, then also its existence is gone. So both ways the pond is not discernible. It is, you cannot similar to a kami who uh, when like he's when he his all his desires are fulfilled. This is how I am relating. If his desires are fulfilled, he has that he feels temporarily that fullness is there, and he is moving away from that true I, that true self, that he's that happiness is all superficial, and it is attached to something, some object or some situation he is relating. And as soon as that situation or object would be removed, he will again be like, he'll fall back, he'll be again in that same state as he was in. And if his desires are not fulfilled, that it is vacant, he is again in that dvesha. So the pond is dry, he further desires to be, but he's feeling that dvesha, that this is not happening.
Temporary happiness.
Yeah, the happiness is going like it is according to his uh, ability to achieve them, or not able to achieve, or he's when he doesn't want something in his life, some person or object or situation he doesn't want, then that emotional yo-yo is happening. So he's in that unstable mind, and is not at all connected with that true I. Yes, everyone else also can. I think we have superseded. I didn't see the time. Sorry.
Yeah, this is very subtle actually. We also get so much like, though the expression is not that strong as it was before, but still, if unpleasant situation happens, or some unpleasant person comes around or something like that, we also from within, we are still not like ocean, let everything and everything come and it gets dissolved. We are not that mature, but awareness is coming ki, oh, something is shrinking in me, or something, uh, some feelings are coming up which are resisting this surroundings, some person or some situation. So at least that much awareness has come. But very well, I can relate to today's whatever you have explained, Savitaj. Jai Gurudev, thank you so much.
Yeah, it is, initially what was happening that we were lingering in that phase for a longer period of time. But now, whatever, what is not desirable, which is you do not like it, even if a person or a situation, then that that knowledge helps you to clear those thoughts, and you again come back to your that okay, this is how it is. And uh, everyone has their own they have their own sanskar with which they are born, so they are acting like this. So when this knowledge comes, then the period in which the malice was happening, that has lessened to a great extent. Like it doesn't affect you much. You uh, it uh, you get affected, you feel bad for some time, but it is not extended to a long duration, maybe days. And so it is only for few time, like it may be an hour, or maybe some more hours, but not your peace is not affected. Like that inner peace isn't disturbed to a longer period of time. This has happened, and I think this is happening with every one of us who are in this knowledge, because you can't get affected when you are in this knowledge. Then this knowledge is uh, making changes inside every one of us. Yeah, I'll change the okay, I shared screen.
फिर हम लोगों के आवाज़ से पहचानने लगे कि इसके आवाज़ में क्या दिक्कत हो सकती है, कौन सी बीमारी या कौन सा इमोशन इसको।
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु।
Meditation is accepting this moment, living every moment totally with depth. Let us keep our spine erect and body relaxed and eyes closed. Relax your shoulders. Keep a big smile on your face. You're sitting like the statue of Buddha, very serene and with a serene smile on your face. Relax your body. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your chest region, throat and chest region. If you notice some tension in the body, just let it be. Except those parts of the body where you feel a tension, the other parts are in comfort. Other parts are at peace. Become aware of that also. There are many good things about you and inside of you. Acknowledge them. They will never leave you. And the negative aspect you may see in you is never going to stay with you forever. They are all guests for some time. Let them be. Sit with the total acceptance of yourself the way you are at this very moment. Total acceptance of what is now here will lead us to deeper meditation. Let go of all the effort. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let go of all your effort and be in this emptiness. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. And you may gently open your eyes.
कि आप भी इन लोगों की तरह इस तरीके से चैट में चिपके